Hi, Sarais. Welcome to the review of your lesson number 7. As usual, we always practice the past simple tense, and in this case, we're going to practice the future tense as well. So please take a look at the examples. Remember, you use always for past the verb in past simple. So I went, I came, or if you want to negate something, I didn't cook. Okay? And in the future, remember you can use either for spontaneous or quick responses, the will, or for something that you have planned, I am going to. Okay? Take a look at the examples here and also review the previous lessons, please. So our topic of today were modals, and we studied a few modals. So we started with can. Remember the pronunciation can. It's not can, can. And it can be negated as cannot, which is formal, or can't, which is a little bit more informal. So, as I mentioned you, can could be used for describing ability or permission. So remember, ability is for things you are able to do, activities. Okay? So pause the video and read the examples again. For permission, also when you want to ask for something that someone does to you, but here remember I told you this is not very polite. This is not very formal. So you can use it, but I don't recommend you to use it, okay? And the way for negating is just put in the not or the contracted form can't. Now in this part, I want you to go through all the examples we reviewed in class. So the affirmative and the negative forms of things you can do at home, you can do or you can't do at work, or also in your city. So take a look at the examples, read them carefully, and pay attention to the verbs. Another modal verb we studied is the modal verb could, which is basically the past tense of can. It means podía. Okay, this is just the past of can, so it's also for expressing ability in the past, things you could do in the past, and also for permission or for asking something, but in a polite way. Okay, this is the one I recommend you to use when you want to ask for something. For example, for the example of ability. So here, remember I told you things you could do as a child. When I was a kid, for example, I could do a split. Could. So here I want you to practice the pronunciation. It's not cold, it's not cooled, it's could. Could. Okay? And also when you want to request for something. Could you put the package inside? Could you read, please? Could you open the window, please? Don't forget the please. That's very polite. And as well, you can also do the negative form by adding not, or also by the contracted form, couldn't. So the example, Paola could not drive when she was a baby. So look at the examples again. What things you could do when you were a kid, what things you couldn't do when you were a kid. And also what things you could do when you were a teenager and what things you couldn't do when you were a teenager. So pause the video and pay attention to the verbs and everything else. Here, remember, we made some examples for asking others to do things for you. So could you open the door, please? Could you help me, please? Could you trade your seat with me, please? Could you be quiet, please? So I want you to think on more examples using this structure for asking for something, okay? And also I want you to remember that sábana, bed sheet, you should always pronounce it with an I, a long I. Otherwise, if you just say shit, you are using the other word, the other meaning, okay? So long I when you want to refer to a sábana. Now, another modal verb we reviewed is the modal verb must, or its negative form must not. This, remember, is for prohibition or obligation. So you must not lie or you must brush your teeth. We worked on some examples where you said what things are prohibited and what things are obligations. So take a look at them and also come up with more ideas, more examples. Finally, the last modal verb we studied today is the modal verb may. This, remember, is used for making requests or also for probabilities. So here, remember, the request you're making is for things you want to do. Okay, you are not asking others, things you are going to do or you're willing to do. So, may I go to the bathroom? May I come in? Or probability, it may rain tomorrow. Tal vez o podría llover mañana. Once again, when you're making requests for yourself, you use may I do something, may I ride a bike, may I close the window, may I do a call, etc. Think on more examples, please. As well as about probabilities. You can also think on more probabilities besides all these examples we have already worked in class. So that was it. Thank you for your attention. You did a great job today. All the examples were pretty good, and see you next class. Bye bye, Sarais.